There's a quiet contradiction in the survival world today. People stockpile freeze-dried meals, invest in high-tech gear, and, obsess over long-term food storage, but overlook one of the simplest, most reliable food systems ever proven under extreme conditions. During World War II, millions of civilians across Europe and beyond faced food shortages, rationing, and supply chain collapse. Yet many of them didn't just survive. They stayed nourished through harsh winters using a low-tech method that required almost no fuel, no electricity, and very little space. That method was the cold frame. And while it once played a central role in wartime resilience, today it's almost completely ignored by modern preppers. If you're serious about self-sufficiency, this is one of the biggest blind spots you can fix immediately. Cold frames were the backbone of winter survival gardens. A cold frame is essentially a bottomless box with a transparent lid placed directly over soil. That's it. No complicated systems, no moving parts. During World War II, families built them from salvaged wood, old windows, even scrap metal. The principle is simple. Trap solar heat during the day, retain warmth at night, and shield crops from frost and wind. In places like Britain, where the Dig for Victory campaign encouraged citizens to grow their own food, cold frames became indispensable. They allowed people to extend the growing season well into winter, producing greens when fields were otherwise barren. Spinach, kale, cabbage and carrots could survive and even thrive under these conditions. In a time when fresh food was scarce, that made all the difference. Modern prepping culture often prioritizes storage over production. But cold frames remind us that food security isn't just about what you store. It's about what you can continue to grow. The science behind why cold frames work so well. Cold frames create a microclimate. Sunlight enters through the transparent lid, warming the soil and air inside. At night, that trapped heat slows the rate at which temperatures drop. Even a few degrees of protection can mean the difference between a crop surviving or dying. What's often overlooked is how efficient this system is. It doesn't rely on external energy. It leverages natural sunlight and insulation. During World War II fuel shortages, this mattered. Today, in a grid-down scenario, it matters just as much. You can replicate this effect easily. Just position your cold frame facing south to maximize sun exposure. Use materials like old glass panes or clear plastic, whatever you've got on hand really. Insulate the sides with soil or straw. That works well. Even in colder climates, this setup can keep hardy crops alive through frost. So, why do modern preppers overlook this proven method? There's a tendency today to equate effectiveness with complexity. If it's not advanced, it's dismissed, isn't it? Cold frames don't look impressive. They don't come with a price tag that signals value. But that's exactly why they're powerful. Another reason is the focus on long-term storage foods. While stockpiling has its place, it creates dependency on finite resources. WWII civilians didn't have that luxury. They had to produce food continuously, even in winter. Cold frames gave them that ability. There's also a knowledge gap, you see. Skills like cold frame gardening used to be passed down through generations. Today, they're rarely taught, and as a result, many preppers simply don't know how effective these systems can be. Applying cold frame techniques in a modern survival setup can really make a difference, you know. Start small. You don't need a large garden to benefit. Honestly, even a single cold frame can produce a steady supply of greens. Build one using a wooden box about 1 foot deep, then attach a slanted lid made from glass or clear plastic. Place it over fertile soil. Choose crops that are naturally cold hardy. Spinach, kale and Swiss chard are excellent choices. Plant them in late summer or early autumn so they establish before the cold sets in. Once winter arrives, growth slows, but the plants remain alive and harvestable. Ventilation is key. On warmer days, you'll want to open the lid just a bit to prevent overheating and moisture buildup. This was a common practice during the war, and honestly, it's still essential today. Too much humidity can lead to rot, which, well, really defeats the purpose. You can also layer protection. Add straw or fabric over the frame during those extremely cold nights. This extra insulation can actually extend your growing capability even further. Here are some real-world examples of how this system keeps working under pressure. During the harsh winters of the early 1940s, families in urban areas used cold frames in backyards, courtyards, and even rooftops. They didn't have perfect conditions. They were dealing with limited space, poor soil, and constant stress. Yet these small structures consistently produced food. You can replicate this today in a modern context. If you live in an urban area, a balcony cold frame can still work. Just use containers filled with soil, then place a small frame over them. And if you have a backyard, try integrating cold frames into your garden layout to make sure you're productive all year round. In a crisis scenario, this approach reduces your reliance on stored food. Instead of rationing supplies, you're supplementing them with fresh produce. That really improves nutrition, morale, and long-term sustainability. Cold frames represent a shift from stockpiling to resilience. The real lesson from the war isn't just that cold frames work. It's that resilience comes from systems, not just supplies. Stored food runs out. Skills and systems keep producing. Cold frames are a perfect example of this mindset. They're low cost, low risk, and honestly, highly effective. They don't require advanced knowledge, but they do require consistency. And that's where their true value lies. If you're building a preparedness plan, this is one of the simplest upgrades you can make. It bridges the gap between gardening and survival. It turns your food strategy from static to dynamic. The people who lived through the war didn't have the option to ignore methods like this. They used what worked, and cold frames worked exceptionally well. If you found this valuable, make sure to subscribe and share this with someone who's serious about preparedness. Because sometimes the most overlooked solutions are the ones that have already been tested when it mattered most.